Updates are coming fast and furious out of this Diddy case, and we're going to try and keep on top of it as much as possible. But there is one aspect that popped out that we figured we'd cover, and that is still to do with the person, Cassie. From what was told on the very last day of her testimony, some things came out that might actually solidify our conspiracy, if you want to call it that, or at least our thought on what could possibly be the reason for what she did and didn't say on the witness stand. Near the end of her testimony, they were talking to her about certain text exchanges that she had with Mr. Diddy Combs. We're going to go over a couple of things, and there's one thing that jumps out almost instantaneously about her statements, and it would lend more credence to our thought process about her current husband and hers relationship. It says they exposed more text messages where she declared her love for the rapper, despite the abuse she said she suffered, and prompted her to admit that she neither hated the rapper when the alleged abuse happened, nor does she hate him today. She confirmed that they continued their relationship even after he beat her and even cheated on her now husband, Alex Fine, with Diddy. Cassie, who is 8 months pregnant, fought back with a calm and composed demeanor. She said Diddy raped her, was out of control drug addict, and someone she felt she couldn't leave. Let's analyze that last statement based on the fact that she went back. She did leave and then went back when she was with this new guy to be with Diddy. We talked about this whole trauma bond that she may have developed. And if she doesn't want to admit that she has a trauma bond with him, her actions sure do admit it, especially if you're admitting on the stand that you left Diddy to go with be this guy, and then you left this new guy to go back to Diddy, at least for maybe a freak off or two, or just an interaction. We don't know. But she just said she cheated on him with Diddy, which would probably entail that something physical happened. The flip moment to it, though, is at this point, we don't know whether or not the husband even knew about that until that moment. It would explain why he walked out the courtroom looking so downtrodden. There's footage of him leaving the courtroom, and he did not look none the pleased, especially considering that he heard a bunch of stuff about his now wife, that what she did, and actively participated and not coerced in a lot of the things that she mentioned. She was a willing participant. If she never divulged that to him, that might have been quite the wake-up call. We also mentioned that maybe, perhaps, that he had a hand in edging her on to get these lawsuits to recoup some of the money that, or at least for damages that he perceived her to have gone through. If he pushed her to have these lawsuits, or at least encouraged her to have lawsuits, based on the fact that she said that she was abused, she might have been playing both sides against the middle. It was a great opportunity to get some money, come across like the victim, but understand you seem more like one of the accessories. Now, later on, during the end of her conversation with the lawyer, she also mentioned that she had a $10 million lawsuit settlement with the hotel where that beating took place. She didn't say exactly what the initial number was, but the final total was about $10 million. Now, if we were to listen to the idea of how much money has transpired so far, it's 30 million. Both her and the husband benefited from it. Mr. Fine benefited from it too. But the benefit of the money does not negate the kind of pain that he might have felt on the stand, hearing his wife talk about somebody else doing stuff and her being a willing participant in it. If he didn't know, it would explain the way he looked. If he did know, you married into it. This whole thing is becoming a he said, she said kind of thing. But if the proof is in the pudding that these people like Cassie were actually aiding and abetting, but still wanted to play the victim, that's detrimental to their case against Diddy. It could be, not saying it will, and it could make it to where he gets off on multiple charges, especially anything to do with the beating. Now, the hotel is paid out. What we don't know is whether or not that incident will play into the favor or against the favor of Sean. The way the lawyers are painting it right now is to try and make Cassie look as most guilty as possible and being one of the accomplices as opposed to being one of the victims. If they can do that with Cassie, they probably can do it with a lot more people. They can probably do it with just about everyone who came to participate in these parties. And if they can pull that off, he may not see a whole lot of time at all, especially if he told them what was going to transpire and they still showed up. and stayed and returned. There is time enough in between to sober up. So if they're passing this thing off as we were coerced and forced into doing stuff, the only people that could possibly have a case would be the sex workers, but they were paid. So is there really coercion in any of it? Or maybe it's just the people who came once or twice, or maybe just once, experienced something and left and never went back. They may have a case, but then again, did they participate simply because it was a Diddy party to say they went? And they won't say anything. The whole issue right now is how credible is Cassie's word. If you take her as a victim, then something isn't right. If you take her as a accomplice, then everything lines up. If you take her as just a scared woman who is afraid to go either direction, I can give her that. That maybe, just maybe, she has involved herself in something that she has gone so far into that there is no backing out. And at this point, all the info needs to come out so I can feel clean. I need to let my current husband know what's been happening, and the best way to do it without any kind of mitigated risk would be to tell him in the middle of the courtroom so there'll be no outbursts. The best way to let everybody know how things were going is in this setting so I can be forthright with people and say, yes, I did say all this thing, but I was doing it because I was afraid. It kind of comes into question, though, in the truth of it, when you hear the fact that she had threatened people about the tapes. Now, you could say that was also a fear reaction because she didn't want the information to get out there, especially considering she wasn't ready to tell her husband. That could be a reason, too. There are multiple ways it could go. The courts will have to decide eventually what will happen to Cassie, about Cassie, with Cassie. The courts also has to decide what will happen with Sean. Now, if they see her as trying to blackmail him, that could also be a problem for her and multiple other people, including the ones that may have started this roller coaster to begin with. Diddy's approach to this is everything and all things at the same time, because if he doesn't play his cards right, he's definitely going to go to jail. Is he deserving of jail? Based on what I know about him, possibly. Based on what the courts know, we don't. We'll see eventually. And I have a suspicion that either way it goes, it will either be one of two things: not enough time given, or it'll be something that says we should have been in a way better position to get him completely removed from society. And it might even be that third option of people saying y'all went after him because of a certain race. And I figured those will be out there as well. There are tons of the pros and tons of the cons towards the case. Where do you stand in it? Do you see Cassie as the victim or as an accomplice? Do you see Diddy as a person who told people what was going to happen and he's just a facilitator and people decided to show up? Is he guilty of trafficking across state lines if he did it legitimately through escort agencies? There's a whole lot of questions right now. The only issue right now is what the courts will see as right, wrong, or indifferent. There's a whole lot of lives up in the air, not limited to just Sean. All the lives he touched, all of them are going to be involved in this. And hopefully by the end of this, we have some sort of a resolve. Whatever your thoughts are, please leave them in the comment section below, because this particular new development, I would call it, will require some conversation. So we look forward to it.
Training athletes, build leaders, changing communities. At Mentors for Life, sponsored by the Bully Me Bad Project, we provide free professional sports training and mentorship to youth with passion, drive, and the desire to grow. We connect them with top-tier coaching and leadership tools that unlock their full potential. Our athletes train with elite professionals like Coach Cedric Booty of CM3, who's worked with NBA players such as Jaden Ivey and Blake Wesley, and the dynamic team of Tevin Lake and Bobo from T2 Sports Performance. Together, they've trained standout athletes including Notre Dame football stars, NFL offensive lineman Danny Piner, and Kyron Williams. In a school or neighborhood of 1,000 youth, 5 redirected lives can mean 5 future leaders, 5 families spared heartbreak, and 5 powerful stories of hope. And this is backed by research from the Money Smart Athlete Foundation, which shows that athletes have a powerful influence on youth behavior, confidence, and long-term success. We don't just build athletes, we build mentors. High school students who complete our program will become certified Mentors for Life members and will be paid to speak, lead, and coach the next generation. To support Mentors for Life, all you have to do is click here if you're on a mobile device, or click here if you're on a computer to donate or learn more. Or you can reach us directly at mentorsforlife mentors574@gmail.com. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Mentors for Life. Donate today and help save our youth.